Welcome back to Soundcheck from Visual Radio Arts. And on today's show, you've just been watching a fantastic set by Mr. Phil Cooper. An audience applause, please. Phil, thanks for that. Great set as usual.
Oh, thank you for hosting me, like I say.
I was going to start by saying you've been having a very busy year, especially a very busy last few months.
Yeah.
Do you want to reveal to the world what you've been up to?
Well, I mean, in the last month, I've got married.
More applause required.
So yeah, we got married in Edinburgh for no other reason than we love the city. So we had a week up there, then we had 2 weeks honeymoon, and then a week at Glastonbury. So my feet haven't really touched the ground for the last month, and now I've come down with a thump, and July is going to be really boring.
So you went on honeymoon to Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw some of the pictures online. That looks like a fun place.
Oh, it's incredible. It's very, very hot, but incredible. Like, I mean, you're right in the jungle there, right? Even though we were on the coast, we were right in the jungle. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. Did you get to kind of pick up on any of the sort of Mexican local music scene whilst you were there? Because it's hard to turn that off, really, if you're a musician, isn't it?
Yeah, not a huge amount. Actually, because it was the honeymoon, we stayed in like an all-inclusive place, and whilst we went out and saw saw all the sights and everything, all the entertainment was sort of what you'd expect from an all-inclusive resort, really.
You're allowed just to doss about from time to time. And then Glastonbury.
Then Glastonbury, yes.
Yeah. So, highlight of Glastonbury from your perspective?
My highlight was Glenn Hansard. I don't know how many people know. When I mention Glenn Hansard, people go, who? But he was in the film The Commitments. Right. He was in the film Once. Wonderful Irish singer-songwriter. Very much a musician's musician. Never over polishes. He's very much I want to be in the moment. That kind of, and that's my sort of musician. So yeah, that was my highlight. Cat Stevens, brilliant. Elton, obviously brilliant. Too many to mention, really. Yeah,
I think a lot of people spotted the Lost Trades banner floating around.
Yes.
Which, for those that don't know, is the band that you perform with Jamie Hawkins and Tamsin Quinn.
Yes.
When you're not doing solo stuff.
Yep. So yeah, that was the rest of the busy year was recording our album, and then touring. Petrichor, thank you. And then our album, then touring the album. So that's sort of been my focus since last summer, actually.
Okay. Yeah, so now it's time to, come down to reality.
Yeah.
And here we are, gigging here. And we've got some people who've been watching the gig who've got a few kind of questions to ask you, an interrogation to go through.
Oh, so are you going to shine just like a light?
Yeah.
You must answer.
We'll add that one in post-production effects and CGI. Okay, so if I can go first to Sara, who has got a question that she'd like to put to you. Yeah. Sara.
Hi, Phil.
Hi.
So, I think you said you gave up your day job in about 2014. Is that right?
It was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I.
So, have you actually been existing on getting gigs? How on earth do you make a sustainable living as an independent musician?
It's about finding work where you can, and it's not all performing. It's not all songwriting. I do some sound engineering. I do busking. I do a little bit of session work with bass and so on. Yeah, particularly doing original music. I play covers as well, which helps bring in some money because, as you know, making money from original music is really hard. So yeah, it's all about the gig economy, to use a sort of a modern term, to just find work and money where you can in the field that you love. And it might not always be songwriting, it might not always be performing, but it's still a field I love. And that's the important thing for me.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so moving on, sitting next to you, we've got Matt, and you've got a question also sort of coming out of something that Phil said during the set.
Yeah, I was really interested to hear your story about remote partnership working, I suppose.
Yes.
With writing music during sort of the lockdown period, and as someone who works a boring desk job, some of the remote working stuff is really good, and we've carried that on. As a musician, have you carried on that kind of remote working with perhaps artists in other parts of the world, or are you happy that you go back to more in person?
I haven't, but that's not to say that's just because circumstances have dictated that I'm working in person with Jamie and Tamsin. And as far as that kind of songwriting goes, you can't beat being in a room with someone. But when it comes to the recording of the songs and getting musicians to add in extras and things, absolutely, it's you've got a world full of musicians, excellent musicians at your fingertips. So why, if the right person for you happens to be in New Zealand or, Botswana or wherever, why wouldn't you use them? If they're willing to give up their time to add to your music, and at the click of a button they can send it through to you. Why wouldn't you do that? But yeah, the actual creative writing the song in the first place, nothing beats eye-to-eye contact.
Okay, thanks. And our trio of questions. The last one comes from Carl. Carl, go ahead.
Being a musician, you have to have a certain amount of ego. And it's part and parcel of it. You've got to go up onto a stage and you've got to go, here I am and this is what I do. What's the difference in your writing and creative style when you're writing as Phil Cooper as opposed to when you're writing as the band, the Lost Trades, where you have three individuals who are all good, strong songwriters? How do you manage
and all have their
that?
own egos?
How do you actually manage it? Yes, it's a.
Well, I mean, firstly, when we're writing as the band, generally there will be a song which already has, one of us will bring a song which is already kind of started, and it may be 50% complete, it may be very nearly complete, and we've, from the very onset of the band, we've kind of thought of this, and like, how are we going to protect our friendship within the like partnership. And one of the ways we've done that is split royalties evenly, no matter who brought the song. And the second way we've done that is whoever brought the song gets the final say, and the others can have their input. And we all do. We all say, how about trying this? How about trying this? But the person who brought the song in the first place has a veto over any of those ideas. And that seems to have worked for us so far. I have to say, it hasn't been used that often. Generally, we've kind of gone with the idea, because once you get into that kind of ball rolling down a hill of ideas, you're bouncing off each other, and that's the best thing. You're the bouncing. So yeah, that's sort of how we've managed that. It's a very different experience. I think I enjoy it, actually. I enjoy having those other ideas come in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's kind of almost what I was hoping that you would say, because I know where you come from the point of view of, some of your beliefs and bits and pieces, and that very socialist way of saying, okay, actually, to allow other people to be able to make their contributions in the way that you've described it really doesn't surprise me. That's very refreshing to hear. Yeah,
it's all about being open with communication from the very start. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a kind of a follow-on question on songwriting and creativity. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a composer, musician, and he said that he feels that creativity is a sort of like a muscle. The more you exercise it, in some respects, not so much the easier it gets, but the better you respond to it, and you can find that you can create more easily. Is that something that you would agree with.
I think there's some truth to that. I mean, every songwriter will have moments where a song just appears and they don't know where it's come from, and they don't seem to have anything to do with it besides being the vessel through which the song comes. But I think it is important, particularly if you want to make a living as a songwriter. If you want, you know, if you need to build a strong catalogue, and the only way you can do that is by constantly writing and accepting that you're not always going to write something good every time. And, you know, like I said in my set, put them aside and come back to them in a few years' time, and rework them. And there's certainly some of the Lost Trades songs, songs that the three of us have had on the back burner for years. And so, yeah, practicing songwriting is, you learn what works and what doesn't, what works for you, and you kind of learn to be confident in yourself. I think that's where the practice comes. You learn, okay, I can be confident, and if it doesn't work, I can go again.
Yeah. Okay, so as we get to the sort of like the wrapping up bit, a bit about the future. And there's the, you know, the immediate future, should we say, the next few months, which, you know, gigs and stuff. And you talked about potentially a Phil Cooper release. And then there's the kind of the longer term, you know, where are we all going, as you must say in the band from time to time. Where are we on all of that?
Yeah, so the next few months, we've decided, or with the wedding and everything, we decided to take a bit of a hiatus over the summer. We have got a couple of shows, but nothing after that until October, I don't think. So we've got a nice long period where we can concentrate on our own individual projects, and that's something that over the last year we've realised is important. We've been head down with the band for 3.5 years now. And we've all realised that we've got our own individual itches that we want to scratch, and so we're going to take some time to do that. So yeah, in the immediate future, my focus will be on working on some new songs, recording these new songs, and getting ready to release those. We've got a tour with the Lost Trades later in the year, and yeah, that's sort of what we've got planned. In terms of what we hope to achieve in the future, we seem to be picking up quite a nice following as the band, and so we've got. I actually, because the way my brain works is I like to be strategic about things, and I've actually got a plan of where I want to be in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and we've got this plan. In 5 years' time, we want to be playing sellout tours of art centres and so on, of you know, 500 to 1,000 capacity. That's sort of where we see ourselves. You know, playing main stages at festivals and so on. I think
is there a sort of like a major milestone trigger that moves you from where you feel you are now to the, you know, the doorway of where you want to be?
I'm not sure there is. I think every musician thinks that there should be, but my experience hasn't been that way. It's very much been, you know, you sort of gradually find yourself at the next level because you're so focused on everything. And sometimes my friends and family have to say, look, Phil, look at what you've achieved over the last year. And I go, oh, wow, okay, so I'm now this next step on from where I was a year ago. So I don't think there is sort of this obvious sort of...
You'll kind of hopefully realise it when you're there. As you look around thinking, oh, yeah, we've...
Well, I think it's the curse of the creative is that you're never happy with where you currently are. So.
Okay. Well, that was interesting, and I'd like to thank you again for a great set this evening, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
So, if you watched our last show, you would have heard me saying that this is our finale show, and I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we will be back in some form in the future.
Bye.